Have you ever gone through this, just sat there wondering why in the world your Instagram account is getting nowhere, not getting any engagement, not getting anything? You're like, what in the world is going on? I feel you. I totally feel you because I've been there. Welcome back to Engage Wedding Planner Studio, where we're talking to the best and brightest pros who can help us elevate our wedding planning business. I'm Valerie, and I am here today with the fabulous and beautiful new mother, Bianca of the Wed Strategy.
Hi, yes. Thank you. You're building me up. Wow.
All right, so Bianca is a wedding planner based in Austin, Texas, and an Instagram marketing expert. She has helped many wedding pros attract new clients through Instagram. And she has booked over, which is really impressive, $56,000 in revenue from Instagram leads in the past 2 years. She has been featured as an educator in the Book More Wedding Summit and Brandy Gar's She Who Dares podcast. All right. So introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us how you got into this and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I'm a wedding planner. That is my full-time job. But with that, so I've been in the industry for 4 years. And even before I started like with wedding planning, I also worked like at a bridal shop. So I've always kind of had like, wedding industry marketing and like experience as I guess like being exposed to that. So between that, like being in a wedding shop and then also having my own wedding planning business, I quickly realized, thankfully now there's a little bit more, but back then when I guess I started in like 2018, there wasn't a lot of information out there about how to market like your wedding planning business specifically. And then especially on Instagram, like there was even less. So I found like, as I was trying to market myself, finding a lot of classes like from influencers, 10K followers or like how to travel the world and get paid and, like all that glam and success that we're definitely attracted to. And it's like, ooh, cool. If she did that or he did that, like maybe I can apply this too. Which, I was able to take a little bits here and there, but I was quickly frustrated because I realized like, wait, a lot of this does not apply to me. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to get brand deals. And it doesn't really make sense to me to try and get a mass following if I just serve couples here in, Texas. So there's just a couple of things that I realized like, wait, this doesn't really help me, and not finding what I felt like I needed. So I basically took a ton of courses and spent a lot of money and a lot of times and just kind of nitpicking from that and finding what worked for marketing locally. And that's kind of when I realized like this is the big disconnect that people aren't addressing is, a wedding planning business, even if you're destination based, you're focusing on one or like a few cities. We're not trying to, do weddings all across the world or like attract couples all across the world. That's typically not it. We're just trying to do somebody in like our smaller, like kind of radius community, if you will. So that's when the Wed Strategy came about. I also was hearing a lot from my fellow wedding vendors, how much they dread Instagram and they hate doing it, or they were just shocked at like how, much success I was having getting leads from Instagram. So that's also kind of triggered me when I was like, oh, so I've figured something out here that other people don't, and I really enjoy it, and I realized that other people didn't. So I was like, what do you mean everyone doesn't like Instagram? I love Instagram. So that's when Wed Strategy came about, like kind of educating the education portion of it, if you will. And yeah, it's grown a lot this past year, definitely. But I'm excited to share some of what I've learned. And basically today we're going to try and do just some really quick kind of tweaks you can make with your account to get you ready for engagement season. But also these can be applied like if you are a newer wedding planner or you're newer to Instagram and you're kind of just starting fresh, just some things to keep in mind. So yeah, that's kind of our background, and I can jump right in if you want.
All right. Yeah. So we're in engagement season right now. And, a lot of brides just got married or just got engaged. Yay. And so they're hopping on Instagram looking at things. And what would be at stake if a wedding planner didn't take action today? What's, how do we get them to, like, let's do one action plan today to get them going?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do like to preface and remind people like why your Instagram is important. So people are very visual and they're going to come to your social media, your Instagram, and unfortunately make a quick judgment about whether or not they're interested in working with you. So if they quickly see or don't see what they're looking for, within a few seconds, they're going to decide if they want to reach out to you or not. So that's why it's so important for you to have a presence and kind of a positive first impression, if you will. So my first tip for people is to make sure that your name on Instagram is searchable. And so what I mean by that, you might have like your username, which typically is your business name. So for example, like for my account, it's The Wed Strategy. But then if you go further into the actual profile and you see it in bold, a lot of times people put like their personal name or they put their business name again. That is actually searchable, kind of like you were to search on Google or your search engine and type in like Seattle wedding planner or whatever it is that you're looking for. So that works the same way on Instagram. So what I want you guys to do, and this literally takes you 5 seconds, I want you to put your city and then wedding planner. So for example, we have Austin Wedding Planner because that's the city or the main city that we serve, and then we're wedding planners. And so something that quick and easy can help your profile show up to new couples. So if I just got recently engaged and I go on Instagram and I search, my city wedding planners or wedding vendor, Instagram is more likely to show them your account now because they understand what you're about. They want to have a good user experience. So again, just like Google or search engine works, they're going to register, okay, Valerie's looking for, a Seattle wedding planner. This is a Seattle wedding planner. And then they show your profile to her. So really quick and easy, do that. Now, I do hear sometimes people are like, well, what if I'm a destination planner or I serve multiple cities? I would encourage you to put the one that is like either where your home base is or that you serve the most. Focus on one for that because you do have a limited amount of characters. Put that one, and then in your bio is when you can put like serving these different cities or like serving these different states, but focus on one, that main one. With your bio there, a lot of times I see people again like putting their personal name or my favorite is when I see like wine lover or like coffee addict or like dog lover. Like, sure, I'm all those things, and a lot of people are, and I get why people do that because they're like, oh, I want to show them what my personality is like and try and find a common trait. Well, you can show that within like the posts that you make, but again, we're trying to capture somebody's attention within those first like 3 to 5 seconds. So if they see that and they're looking at other wedding planners, that doesn't really speak to me to know like, oh my gosh, she loves coffee, so do I. I'm going to hire her. No one's going to say that, especially when they're looking at other people. So, just take that little bit out. Again, this is like a golden sacred space because you only have so many characters. So what you should put there, or what I encourage you to put there is again, like who you are. So that would be, your city wedding planner. If you can't fit your city, you've already done it in the searchable name. So at least just put like wedding planner. And then what you do or who you serve. So some examples could be like planning weddings for couples dedicated to their career and they don't have time to party plan or something like that, like if that's your ideal couple. And this is also where you can add in the multiple cities. So you can say like serving these different cities. And then I also want you to put in a call to action that gets them to reach out to you. So that could be literally something as simple as like book your consult today, now booking 2023 couples, or only 6 openings left for 2022, or whatever it's going to be, but something that's going to get their attention. And then basically you're literally calling them to an action, and we want that action to be reaching out to you, scheduling a consult, getting that inquiry, and then you're going to have a link to your website. Now, if for any reason you don't have a website, maybe it's under construction or you're new and you don't have it up yet, put it to some sort of inquiry form, whether that's through your CRM, like wherever you capture leads, like Honeybook, Dubsado, or even if you don't have that yet, make a Google form. There's kind of no excuse for you to be able to capture that inquiry. And I want you to put that link, whether it's your website or your inquiry form, where it literally says like URL, because that's clickable. So that means We're eliminating any obstacles here. People can just click on it, reach out to you through their phone. On Instagram, people are typically, on their phones. They don't usually get on their computer to be on Instagram. But I see sometimes that mistake too. People just type in the website, but that's not clickable. And let's be honest, like nobody's going to go and try and copy and paste. And if you have a long business name, they misspell it. And then by that point, they're frustrated. They don't reach out. So just little things that you can tweak. That's all tip one. So kind of recap, like having that searchable name and then updating your bio to tell us what you do, who you serve, and how they can reach out to you. So then our second tip is kind of reviewing your story highlights. So if you don't know what your story highlights are, if you're looking at your profile, there's like those little bubbles there. If you don't have any highlights, then it'll have like a circle and a plus sign and it'll say add for you to start your highlights. So all that this is a place to save any stories that you have posted or will be posting. You can kind of refeature them, if you will. And this is a good place to, again, grab people's attention and kind of show them what, in a snapshot, what your company is all about. Everything that you put out on your Instagram, you want to think, what if somebody was coming to my account for the first time? What would they think? What would they learn? What would their impression be? So we're going to assume that this person has never come to your Instagram before. They don't know anything about your business. Maybe they know absolutely nothing about planning a wedding too, or planning an event. So they're able to use your highlights and kind of go back and get a feel for, oh, okay, this is like what Valerie is all about. This is where you can kind of, in your stories, you can share how much you love coffee and all of that good stuff. So you can have like a personal highlight, if you will. But the ones that I say like are probably the most important would be reviews. So if you're posting any of your reviews or testimonials in your stories, have it saved there, putting your work. So anything back, whether that's like sharing behind the scenes from a wedding day, or you shared like a professional photo coming back from a wedding, but your work, so they can kind of see like an extension of your portfolio. And then a frequently asked questions, so an FAQ. And this is where you can do a lot of education, whether it's like, oh, what's it like working with you? Or when should I send out my save the dates, whatever it may be. But this is a good place for you to educate your audience, show them you're an expert. And then just kind of like, again, like eliminate any obstacles of them being like, well, why should I reach out to her versus like this other planner? So we're giving them just kind of a quick snapshot of your reviews, your work, and your frequently asked questions. Definitely recommend those. But I say just kind of start out small and do, like I said, your reviews, featuring your work, and then some frequently asked questions. And then our third one is make sure that your most recent posts reflect your best work. So when you're first looking at somebody's account, you can go to someone else's account, look at your own for the example. It's called the grid, people refer to it. And so you see the last like 6 to 9 posts, depending on how big your screen is on your phone. But you see those little squares. And so again, somebody's gonna come and make a quick judgment call. So if they can't really figure out what you specialize in, what you're good in, or maybe, you've been posting weddings that don't speak to your ideal couple. A lot of times I hear people say like, oh, I'm getting leads, but they're not my ideal couple. Like, okay, well, are you speaking to your ideal couple? And maybe you don't know that yet, but just kind of challenge and think of like, what it's as simple as like, what do I want to do more of? What type of weddings, what type of couples do I want to work more of? And making sure that those are posted. Because let's say that you're like, oh, I really want to get away from rustic barn weddings.
Right.
Stop posting about them, and that sounds really simple, but I kind of have to remind people of that, and maybe you're like, well, I haven't done a lot of weddings of the type of couple that I want to work. That's okay. For now you can share like maybe you share a couple photo, like the actual people, and not so much the details that show me it's a super rustic wedding. Maybe you don't show the detail of like the burlap and the mason jars of a rustic wedding because you don't want to do that anymore, but you show the couple to show, hey, I've worked weddings before, I have experience. You can highlight their review. You can highlight about how amazing and organized they were to work with. I have people complain about, oh, they don't give me my forms on time. Like, you have the power to put out who you want to work with and the type of work you want to do. And you can directly do that through Instagram. So let's say that you're like, okay, Bianca, I look at my grid and you're right. Like, it doesn't have the weddings that I want to do. Like, yikes, maybe I don't really like this. You don't necessarily have to delete them. I know sometimes people are like, should I delete it? Like, no, just start posting more. Maybe you post like one every day just to kind of quickly like get that down. We don't necessarily have to delete them. You know, we want them to see that you have a history, that your business has been open for a little bit. But just kind of keep that in mind now with your next couple posts, and then the rest of engagement season, since this is such a like high volume season that you're going to get leads.
Yeah, no, makes total sense. Yeah, definitely like want to figure out your ideal client and kind of build that for them. And styled shoots are great, right? If you don't have those pictures yet, maybe start planning to do some styled shoots.
100%. Yeah, if you are finding that you're not getting your ideal couple, be strategic with your styled shoots. You know, I did this myself when I first started. We kind of just like, oh, I want to get content and I want to just put it out there, but you don't really dive deep into what you should do. And my thought process at first, which I don't recommend, was let me do as many photo shoots as possible and not actually being like strategic or thoughtful with them. So instead of trying to do a styled shoot every single month so I can get all this content, just do one or two and be really strategic and thoughtful about them. Okay, what does that mean? Well, what venues do I want to work at? Let me pick a venue. And everybody has this in their market. You know, those one or two venues that you see and you're like, oh my gosh, this photo or this arch at this venue is always featured. That's kind of something that people can quickly pick up on. So do a photo shoot there and take a picture in front of that arch so you can show like, oh my gosh, I've done weddings, or I've worked at, you don't have to lie. You know, if a couple's like, have you done a wedding at my venue? Don't lie. Just tell them, oh no, I haven't, but I've been there for a photo shoot before. I've met the vendors, I'm familiar, or I've met the venue owner, right. I'm familiar with the venue space. You know, you can be very honest about it. And even that, gives them peace of mind. But going back to the style shoot, so yeah, show that venue that you want to do more work at, or that you think is gorgeous. You love the type of couples they attract. This is again the place for you to do like that elevated design, or maybe you love working with DIY brides, like show a little bit more DIY things. So again, what you want to see, create yourself. So you have those images to put out there.
Can you just do a little recap of what we should be doing? What's our action plan before we go?
Absolutely. Happy to do that. So I want you guys to kind of audit your profile, if you will, or set it up really clean if this is your first kind of fresh take on Instagram and marketing your business. And the way that we're going to do that is making sure that you have a searchable profile name. So you have your username, that should be your business name, but then your actual profile name, I want it to be your city and then wedding planners. And then with that, you're going to make sure that your bio is very clear. So what kind of couples do you serve? What type of weddings do you want to work with? And then a clear call to action of like, book your inquiry call here, link to your website. Then the second one is making sure your story highlights are clear. I want this to feature your reviews, your work, frequently asked questions at the very least. You can definitely add in other things, but those are going to be the quick ones that help people get a good idea of your business. And then your grid, or your most recent 6 to 9 posts. And when I say 6 to 9, that's because when somebody comes to your profile, that's what they can immediately see, is those 6 to 9 squares, making sure that that reflects your best work.
Perfect. And then I'm going to put a link in the bottom of this video with this free download that Bianca is so gracious to give us, 95 plus hashtags for your wedding business. So yeah, look for that and then go ahead and just go to our site and download that. I want to thank you so much for being here, giving us these great tips, informing us about Instagram, giving me a little boost to go out and try it again.
Have a good engagement season, everybody, and don't feel guilty for being off Instagram to enjoy time with your family and friends, kind of reset before the new year. But I wish you all success.